Hi everyone, Grey Power 60 here. I thought I would do a face-to-face update on what's going on, what I hope to do with my channel, and a few other things I wanted to chat about. Um, I hope that you'll indulge me in this little chat. I've got my tea, and anytime I do a video face-to-face with you and want to talk with you, I'm just going to call them Tea with Me. And Tea with Me is just going to be things that I want to discuss with you, things that I want to share with you, and maybe things that maybe come up that I want to address, and that kind of thing. My channel and all that kind of thing, and things that I hope to do in the future. Today I'm in my bedroom. I have the natural light coming in from outside. I'm not quite sure what kind of day it is out there today. It looks a little overcast. It did rain a little bit earlier. So today is Saturday. It's real time. Um, I had the best sleep I've had in ages. Um, I spoke to my daughter before I went to bed. Well, late. It was around 11 o'clock that I texted her and said, I'm going to try to go to sleep before midnight and see if I can sleep through the night. Because it has been rather iffy. My sleep has been off and on, like awake at night and sleep during the day. And oh my gosh, it's, and not full sleeps. Well, amazingly, last night, early this morning, I fell asleep around 12:30ish, around 12:30, and I slept right through till 11 this morning. I could not believe I slept that long. Some of my sleeps have been a little bit like I'd get a few nightmares. Um, Nothing, just weird dreams, I think. And sometimes I account that to maybe what I ate before I went to sleep. Sometimes I would be up, I'd be crafting because I can't sleep. And then I would try and go to sleep and um, wake up at 3 in the morning. If I go to sleep at 8, I'd wake up at 1, and then I'd be up all night. And then around 3 or 4, I'd be hungry. So it's almost like I've got my breakfast, lunch, and dinners kind of all mixed up. Although I don't usually have 3 meals a day. I usually have two. Um, I have a nibble in the morning. My morning routine has always been morning, meaning when I get up, make my cup of tea. I always have what I call a quarter of a banana every morning. I have a quarter of a banana with my cup of tea. Sometimes I'll have cereal, not very often. Sometimes I'll have toast, not very often. Um, I've never been a big breakfast eater all my life. I've never been. Um, and then I'll eat when I'm hungry. I don't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't eat that way. I may have a snack during the day, maybe a muffin, maybe an orange, maybe, and then maybe my supper might be a salad. Now, my salad is going to be, I start off with a Caesar salad, and then I put in some chicken, and then I'll find some um, uh, cucumbers, mushrooms, like I said, chicken pieces I'll cut up and put in there, some spring mix, although I like tomatoes in a sandwich, like a toasted tomato sandwich. I like that. I like tomato soup, but I don't like eating tomatoes raw. Like, you know, it's the same with eggs. I love boiled eggs, cooked eggs, but egg salad sandwiches, yuck. They have to be warm, so I don't put eggs. Anyway, yeah. So my eating routine and so on has been kind of a little off. Um, Yeah, my nights and days. So last night I had the best. I think I've mentioned it in videos before. Um, Many years I lived alone. I lived alone for many, many years. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Um, Not that I'm a control freak, but that I think earlier in my relationships in life, I felt like I was either not good enough or was being controlled to a certain degree in my love relationships. And as our parents do with us as we're children and teenagers growing up, they kind of have that little bit of control over us. And when I finally divorced, broke free, um, felt like I was in control of my life again. The decisions I made, good or bad, were mine, were my decisions. And that's, I think, I wanted my life like that. I wanted my life to be where I was in control, whether my decisions that I made were good or bad, they were my decisions. And I wanted to continue my life like that. I had many, many love relationships through my late 30s, 40s, and 50s. I had a lot of male friends. Um, I enjoyed my life. I danced. I had fun. I went out. There was a lot of things I did, but I was also working full time as well. And I was enjoying. Uh, I mean, yes, I had ups and downs. Believe me. I mean, I had financial worries. I had, until I started making fairly good money in my work, in my job, um, raising two children alone, especially through the teenage years, trying to balance home life and work career. It was, it was a long haul for me, but it is one I will never regret. I never regretted it. There were times when I was doing a lot of writing, when I was writing short stories and so on. Um, very little poetry, but I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of what we call today journaling. I call it a diary. Um, I wrote a lot, and a lot of it was a way for me to, when I was dealing with frustrations in my life, would write it down, and that seemed to purge it from my mind. And once it was written down, it was done. And sometimes once I wrote it down, I would leave it a few days, weeks, and then I would look at it and tear it up because I was done with whatever it was upsetting me. Usually it was problems with my bosses at work or with things like that. Rarely talked about my love affairs. I didn't think it, I mean, I may have spoken of them in general, enjoying myself or whatever. It's a good day. We're going out. We're having dinner, things like that. But I never really delved into my love life. When I wrote, it was usually um, deep seated issues that I needed to write it down, regardless. Maybe I had a bad time with a colleague or a client or a boss or whatever it may have been with work related, that frustrated me. And I was never a confrontational kind of person. I was always um, the one to, I guess, sit back and take it. I was never one to, if somebody confronted me, I was never one to say, blah, blah, blah back and throw it back at them. And it was usually, I became defensive. And a while back, I went to a kind of a life assessment program. I can't remember how many days it was, But in one session, towards the end of the session, where I sat down with the psychologist and we discussed my work ethics, my life plans, my life, my all about me. The one thing that gave me a tool to be able to deal with people attacking, was to stop myself from feeling emotional, because I did. I used to get emotional and cry and be upset because this person's attacking me and I don't know why. It may have been legitimate, it may not have been. It may have been they had a bad day, whatever. I could not deal with it because I never was allowed to deal with conflict growing up. I was supposed to be a nice little girl, obey your parents. What they say is good for you, so therefore that carries on into marriages where, your husband is, the caregiver, I guess, of the family. He was the money maker. Although we were both. I was the money. I worked as well until we had children. But um, I guess I just felt that emotion right away, being attacked. I always was told I was a good little girl. I was always raised to be a good little girl. No fighting. I wasn't allowed to fight with my brothers. So when my parents were gone, we'd fight, like just roaring. Not physical, yelling, fighting, just getting it out, right? And then, of course, when they came home, we'd either be in bed sleeping. I mean, this is as we were getting older, over 10 years old, whatever. But anyway, so the psychologist told me that because I take things personal, to stop, and this will take practice, to stop and not allow the emotion of that person, and it took me a long time, believe me, to get to me, to get into my heart and soul and mind. So he said, stop and ask them a question. Ask them a question. Whatever they are bombarding you with, and you feel emotionally chained down, locked into an emotional wreck, ask them a question. Do it right away. Ask them a question. So when I did become, it took a while for me to practice, but when they did come at me, and I was very young, I was in my early 20s, raising small children and working, and well, late 20s, I guess. And I found it very difficult to, to fight back. But I did discover that when I asked a question, and I had to think about the question because it was really important. So if somebody was coming at me about my work or about something, I would have to formulate in my mind a question and ask it. And I found when I asked the question and they didn't answer it, I would ask it again. And I found that tool to be helpful for me since I was not used to fighting for myself. But I found it gave me time to kind of calm down, and this worked a little bit later after the divorce, and when I was working and I was I was getting awards for my work and I was getting all kinds of things, and I had a manager who didn't like me. She didn't like me. She didn't like me because I wasn't French. She didn't like me because a lot of clients wanted my attention to do work. And so when I got an award, she told me to keep it to myself because the others would be jealous and not to say anything. And that hurt because I was so excited about an award I had received from a different area in my work area, on my floor, in a different section, and I had done some work for them, and I received balloons and a cake and a plaque with "Thank you for all your help." I was in heaven, And I went right away to my manager to show her I am good at my job and people do appreciate what I'm doing. And she cut me down and said, keep it to yourself. That's very nice. That's all she said. I remember those words. That's very nice. But perhaps you should take it home and not display it because the others will be jealous and I won't be able to get them to perform or whatever. And then she went on. And when I left her office, I realized that all of the times that she had criticized me and my work, she was jealous. And that was the first time I realized it. From then on, I never allowed her to tear me down. And I did show my coworkers, and they were proud for me, and they were happy. So that's how I learned to kind of understand people more, and that my reaction of being emotional would show its head as life went on, would show its head, but I was able to handle it a little bit better. So talking about that, that's how I kind of I still don't like fighting. I don't appreciate people attacking me, but I now feel as I'm older that I have the tools to question what they're saying, or even not question what they're saying. When I throw a question at someone who's confronting me about something, sometimes it's not even related to what they're saying, which throws them off because they're going to start thinking, why is she asking me that question? It's a really good tool. So that's what I learned early in life. I was very little girlish. I was very shy. I was very, emotional if someone yelled at me or attacked me in any way. And so when I went to this life skills thing and learned that little trick, it really, really helped me to relieve myself of all the guilt and the anger and the emotional crying. Relieved me. And it's kind of like I think it's a Zen Buddha thing. And the question is, when a horse, a bear, a dog, but usually if a horse is charging at you, how do you stop him from charging? And for years I didn't know the answer. And I finally realized, look the other way. So if someone is coming at you physically and they're talking about you and they're angry, turn away before you ask that question. Turn away, because when you're facing them dead on, it really, really is, it's like an emotional, slap in the face. So I didn't want to get into that too much, but I did want to mention that because I think as we age, as we are older ladies, I find that is a tool that I don't use very much anymore. And the reason I don't use it very much anymore is because I respect myself enough and carry myself enough to not feel intimidated. I do not walk around in my city, shopping, doing whatever, feeling insecure or feeling like I don't belong there, or that I don't have a right to do whatever it is I'm going to do. I do have a right. I've lived my life. I've paid my taxes. I worked hard all my life. I did my voting. I did all of the things that is expected of a good citizen of the world, of whatever. And now in my life, I still vote. I still care about the politics, but I am not anymore. I am not at the point where things are just, overwhelming. It's time for us, as I retired from work, to step away from trying to change the world. Now, that's not to say that should something come up that affects me as a senior citizen, some government program that is going to affect me as a senior citizen and as a member of the community, that I wouldn't fight for it. Absolutely. But I step back now. Now it's me time. And when I retired in 2010, it became me time. Me time. However, I must say selfishly, I lived alone for about 30 years before Mom came to stay with me, and I developed my own life. I had friends around me who made me feel good and who I wanted to let them feel good. I wanted to share my happiness, my calmness, my opinions, whatever it is. I wanted to share them with someone who was positive attitude like me. I stayed away from negative people. They'll still sneak into your life. They do. They still sneak in. And there comes a time when it's no. There comes a time when you have to be very firm and say no. And unfortunately, I had one incident, a family member, where my compassion and so on was misguided because they did not deserve it. They did not deserve it because they were taking advantage of me. And I didn't see it for a long time. And when I finally did see it, it was very difficult for me to get out of that situation. And I am now finally out of that situation. And I have to deal with the consequences of the saying no, of the keeping negative people out of my life. And on a normal day, I walk out of my apartment, I'm smiling, regardless of what I have to do that day. I'm smiling. Good morning to my neighbors, whoever I meet in the elevator, whoever I meet in the halls, whoever I meet in the parking lot. And I think maybe it's a Canadian thing, and people laugh at us because we are so friendly. And when we walk into a store, we always say things like, good morning, how are you? You want to make sure that that person feels that you're not a threat, that you're not a pain in the neck, that you're not another problem customer. You want them to feel good about who they are. And I think that's why we spread this type of kindness, this good morning and how are you? And I hope you're having a good day. But I have this little problem, whatever it may be, you talk to them. You get so much further with sugar than you do with vinegar. Going in angry about something is not going to get you anywhere because, again, confrontation. So I guess today's video, Tea with Me, which I'm not drinking my tea. Tea with Me is more about, just about me, I guess, how I feel about the aging process. I just had a birthday. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All the birthday wishes. I had a beautiful time with my son and his family. I had a beautiful time at my daughter's. We had dinner. We had a beautiful chat with almost all my grandson's teenage years, where we discussed things that just absolutely thrill me. And the fun part of sharing myself with my grandsons, because they're all boys, sharing myself, my views, I want them to be surprised. I didn't know Nanny knew that. I didn't know, And of course, realizing I'm 73 now, I don't feel 73. I still feel like a little girl inside. Well, maybe not a little girl, maybe a 40-year-old. I have a lot of things I want to do with my life. I have a lot of things that I now have to consider. It's been 4 months, and this is getting to be the yucky part. It's been 4 months since Mom passed away. I've had a lot of conversations with friends, with my children, and talking about the guilt. The guilt is the big one. The guilt is the big one. You know, would she have lived longer if I'd kept her at home? Would she have, been happier? And one of the things my cousin, a very close cousin of mine, Susie, said to me, God, I love her to death. She said, it was time for you to let the professionals look after her, because you could not. I could not bathe her. I could not keep her clean. Although she ate well, she slept well, but she was 93 with advanced dementia, and she, although her loving spirit still came out. That was one thing about my mother. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold. I had the window open all night, and I think I've got a little bit of a stuffy nose, so forgive me for that. But Susie said, you did a fantastic job looking after your mom. And she was 93. She had the best life. And I think it was time, she felt time to go, because she could no longer remember things anymore. And her mind was tired, and her heart was tired. And that helped me so much. So over the last little while, I've now decided that I need to concentrate on my life. I talk to her every day, but I have to remember, she was 93. She had a wonderful life. She was the most loving person. And when dementia hit Mom and her memories started to go, her loving spirit was still there. And, in many videos I've talked about Mom that way. So now, as Susie said, my daughter, my son, my friends have said to me, it's now time for you. So now I have to sit down and decide, what is my life going to be now? And as I declutter Mom's things, my craft things, reorganize my home, get things in order, I'm finding myself feeling better and looking to the future rather than on a daily basis, because with Mom it was a daily thing. It was each day. I didn't know what to expect and how to handle it. But now the world is open to me. Whether I live a day, a week, a year, 10 years, I don't know. But I need to make the most of it and enjoy it. And I'm hoping that that's what I will do with my YouTube channel. So now that I've given you a whole life history, for those of you who are new, many of you have heard me before, I want to grow my channel. I want to embrace it more. I want to have fun with it. I love experimenting. And I'm thinking of doing memberships, because I think there are a lot of things I would like to share with members and not put on my daily videos. I would like to share things. I would like to have perks, maybe have live chats just for members, and work on that. So right now it's in the planning stages, and like a lot of people have gone to Patreon, I like the memberships. I feel it's more of personal. I think there's more that I can offer you in a membership. And I guess they have 3 tiers. Well, it doesn't matter whether it's $2 a month, $5 a month, $20 a month. Everyone will have the same opportunity to get involved with the lives, because I think that would be a lot of fun. I think the Crafting with Me lives is fun. I think the Q&A, you can ask me questions. That would be fun. I think getting, not only getting to know me, but how we deal with different things would be fun to ask. Um, and I'm hoping to get some merchandise. Now, I am not a specialized YouTube creator. I am not specialized. I have evolved from just plain vlogs and car vlogs and things like that to paper crafts of different kinds, as well as upscaling or upcycling, I think people call it sometimes, repurposing items that I have that I can create something else out of. I loved doing that. And now my channel is kind of evolved into journaling, doing journaling, and I'm learning. I'm learning techniques. I'm learning different artistic techniques with paints and drawings and all kinds of things. But it's all a learning experience. It's all for all of us to watch me fail, watch me grow, watch me do fun things, experiment. You know I love that word. I mean, my word for the year is hope, but my secondary word is experiment. I want to try things. I want to have fun with whatever it is I'm doing. And whenever I don't know how to do something, I want to be able to share it with you and ask your input. You know, is this a good idea? Is this a good fit? What should I do with this? What should I do with that? You know, and when I learn something new, I want to share it. So that's the other thing I want to announce is that I'm still in the process, so maybe another month, to do memberships where I am going to maybe share personal things, lives, doing membership only lives where we're going to chat together, craft together, discuss together. And I'm also going to try, I don't know yet about the merchandise. Merchandise is something that doesn't seem to fit, but it might. It might, because I have a few ideas that are a lot of fun. Most of the people that watch my channel, most of the people are in the later years of their life. Very few young people watch my channel, but there are a few. There are a few, and I love you to death. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you. But also early access. If there's a particular video that I think would be really of interest to you, fun, creative, whatever, memberships will have early access to that. So it's a new year for me. It's a new era, as I said. I mean, it's been 4 months since Mom passed. It's taken me that long to not cry every day. It's taken me that long to now I was going to say redesign, to rethink my life, to re-establish myself as a mature, still, learning person. But I guess what I'm saying is I still have my faculties. When that starts to go, perhaps we'll be laughing a little bit more. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about today on my very cold tea with me. A tea with me will be to share new ideas, new things, ask questions, and I hope that you will embrace the whole idea of memberships where we can have live chats, where it will, because I haven't been doing them. I've been kind of a little afraid, I think, because I didn't think I'd have anything to offer. I'm starting to feel that I do have things to offer. We do have things to talk about. Crazy things, some of our favorite channels and what we like and don't like about them, and not necessarily to tear them down, but simply to, there's a lot of things that are for sale on these channels, and can we afford them, and what could we afford? What should we buy? What, you know, and not become a hoarder like I became. But that was a different story, and we'll talk about being a hoarder. Yeah, I'm gonna write it down because I'll forget. Being a hoarder was accidental for me, and now I'm dealing with the overload of stash and how I can help other crafters maybe share what I have, which I keep talking about, but I haven't been doing. But there has been a lot of other things. Life happens, and I've had to deal with that. And I'm sure by the end of the year, hopefully by the end of the summer, I will have formulated some sort of swapping going on. I think that is a lot of fun. I think a lot of you enjoy that, and it will have to be sort of in sections, so that we don't pay for international postage, which is absolutely horrendous right now. So all of my Canadian friends, all of my American friends, and then of course all of my European and international friends, because I do have some of those too. And thank you so much for coming to my channel, and thank you for sharing a little bit with me. I hadn't planned on going on and on, but thank you for sharing 30 minutes with me where I talk about everything, and it's tea with me. And I think that I will schedule them for a weekend, simply because I have busy videos to share during the week. And what's nice about the weekend is that you can watch it on the weekend or watch it next week or not watch it at all. It's up to you. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts, my feelings, now that I am in what I consider to be sort of the last chapter of my life, because all the chapters have been kind of chunked together. Being a young child, being a mom and wife, being a single parent raising children, caring for, living alone after my children left, living alone for quite a few years and loving it, and having my own life, and then caring for mom for 8 years and watching her decline, and my heart breaking, and having my brother as well, which I haven't talked about. He is the same. There's no change. There's no change in the last 8 years or 10 years. My brother has Alzheimer's, severe Alzheimer's, where he doesn't talk anymore, and he doesn't know who we are, and he is in care. And so I'm kind of an orphan now, because my dad passed away when I was in my early 40s. And now I have to think about my future, my life. I have to, it's not that I care about my future, and I have to say this before I close and end and stop babbling. It's not my future. It's each and every single day. I want to enjoy my life. I want to embrace the fact that I've experienced love and marriage. I've experienced raising children. I've experienced having grandchildren. I've experienced losing family members very, very close to me. My aunts, my uncles, my dad, my mom, my cousins. I've experienced all of that. And now at this point in my life, I will continue to experience losing people in my life. It happens. That's what life is, especially, in the later chapters of our life. But I want to embrace my oneness, my aloneness, which I love. I really, really do. And maybe one day we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more, about what it's like to live alone and how to overcome the fear of living alone. Because living alone and being in control of your life and caring for yourself again, which is something that I had forgotten to do for years. So, yeah, we could talk about things like that. So for now, thank you so much for joining me on a Tea with Me day, and I hope it'll be every Saturday. So thanks for joining me. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you so much. You were so sweet. I was just overwhelmed with the thoughtfulness of you beautiful people that care about me a little bit, and I care about you a lot. And I want to thank you for joining me today. And we'll see you again next on my Tea with Me time.